Good afternoon, I'm Vashan Brown with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The government could resort to the Emergency Powers Act to restrict movement in the event that Jamaica is hit with an outbreak of the coronavirus. Well, that suggestion from Attorney-at-Law Peter Champagny, it comes as more countries report cases of the disease. According to Mr. Champagny, a state of emergency is an option open to the government to stem a possible upsurge in cases of coronavirus in Jamaica.
It empowers the authorities to, as a result of the occurrence of any earthquake, hurricane, flood, fire, outbreak of pestilence, outbreak of infectious diseases, or any other calamity, whether in a similar nature. And that is to be found in the Emergency Powers Act. And so that is why I say that it is possible for the government to look in that direction, of course being mindful always of the provisions of the Constitution in terms of freedom of movement.
However, Mr. Champagny is concerned that a state of emergency might not be fully effective in tackling an outbreak of coronavirus because of its frequent use to reduce crime.
That is one of the negatives, if I may say, in relation to the frequency with which the state of emergency is applied. You apply it so often that it really is not having the effect. You reach a point of diminishing returns in all regard in terms of the fundamental importance of it and all of that. So I appreciate the point that you're making, and it is a real concern.
In the meantime, the Jamaica Employers Federation says there is no uniform policy for its approximately 340 members to deal with the disruption in the workforce should the coronavirus reach Jamaica. The number of worldwide patients who have tested positive for the coronavirus is now above 100,000 as states in the United States announce new cases every day. President of the Jamaica Employers Federation, David Wan, says each company will decide how long staff will stay home if there's a local outbreak.
What you'll find is that each company has its own policy and will decide how long and if it stops work if the virus hits Jamaica. If a company has a person or persons who have been confirmed with the virus, I suspect you'll see a longer stoppage or longer mandate for people to work at home versus one that has no cases of the virus. They would probably be guided by the Ministry of Health or the authorities in terms of a recommended period of closure. But there's no uniform policy governing how companies are going to react to the impending virus if it gets here. I hope it doesn't get here.
And U.S. President Donald Trump has promised millions more coronavirus tests will hit healthcare facilities in the United States. It comes as the U.S. has recorded at least 539 cases across 34 states. More from the CNN.
President Trump toured the CDC earlier this afternoon to talk more about the coronavirus test kits. This as the virus continues to spread throughout the country.
Anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the tests. And the tests are beautiful.
President Trump promising more coronavirus tests are coming for healthcare facilities across America during his visit to the CDC Friday.
They're making millions of more as we speak.
After tests were airdropped to the Grand Princess cruise ship sitting off the California coast.
21 individuals on the Grand Princess tested positive. Among those were 19 crew members and 2 passengers.
The big monster ship that's out there right now, which, again, that's a big decision. Do I want to bring all those people on? People would like me to do that. I don't like the idea of doing it.
Vice President Pence and the Coronavirus Task Force say they have a plan to bring all of the people off the ship this weekend.
To bring the ship into a non-commercial port, all passengers and crew will be tested for the coronavirus. Those that need to be quarantined will be quarantined.
They're Americans, or mostly Americans, and we have to take care of Americans.
Still in the United States, the New York State governor, in an update on Monday, said there were 142 confirmed COVID-19 cases in his state. But he says that the panic being created around it must end.
With 142 cases, it puts New York puts New York actually ahead of Washington. They just updated these numbers. California 111, Massachusetts at 28. And you can see the other national cases. Context, all these numbers, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? All day long I have people calling me up and saying, here are all these numbers, what does it mean? It means you find the positives, you reduce the spread. What is the bottom line? What does this mean? People are reacting like this is the Ebola virus. This is not the Ebola virus. This hysteria that you see, this fear that you see, the panic that you see, is unwarranted. We have dealt with worse viruses. This spreads like the flu, but most people will have it and they get on with their lives. Many people will have it and not know that they have it.
On to other news now. The row involving the Edna Manley College for the Visual and Performing Arts and the principal, Dr. Nicolene DeGrasse Johnson, has now reached the Supreme Court. Dr. DeGrasse Johnson has been granted leave to apply for judicial review to quash the decisions of the Personnel Committee hearing her case and to compel the university to return her to the substantive post of principal. Dr. DeGrasse Johnson has been on leave since August last year on the instruction of the school board. The principal was suspended amid the probe into sexual harassment allegations at the tertiary institution. This caused uproar at the university as many felt she was being made a scapegoat and the spotlight should be elsewhere. Dr. DeGrasse Johnson, through her attorney Andre Earl, filed the application naming members of the Personnel Committee as well as the board chairman as respondents. According to court records seen by our news center, the respondents were absent from the proceedings which took place recently. The court subsequently ruled that the grant of leave for judicial review will act as a stay in all disciplinary proceedings against Dr. DeGrasse Johnson. In an interview with our news center, Mr. Earl explained the reasons for the legal challenge. And we now take a break on the midday news, but we'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Continuing the news now. There's another call this afternoon for more partnerships to help reduce crime and unemployment. It came from President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, Keith Duncan, who was speaking this weekend at Expo 2020, hosted by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce.
We are paying the price for not having run a good economy.
That price, bad roads, poor infrastructure, and inadequate investments in national security, crime and social intervention programs. But despite that, PSOJ President Keith Duncan says the country has significantly improved its macroeconomic standing, a step in the right direction.
Our debt to GDP is down from 140% about 8 years ago, down to about a little over 90% now. Definitely moving in the right direction. Our net international reserves are over $3 billion. We have more than adequate reserves. Interest rates are at their lowest levels ever. Inflation is low and stable. Unemployment is at 7.2%.
Mr. Duncan says, however, crime still needs more attention as it significantly impacts the country's low gross domestic product, GDP, and overall productivity.
We are 3 times the Latin American and Caribbean average and 8 times the world average in terms of murder rate. But we have been here for at least 20 years.
There is another issue, the need to strengthen the country's human resource. Out of the 1.9 million persons in the workforce, 700,000 persons are not employed or are somehow unattached.
Of that 1.25 million who are employed, right, 64% are not certified. So 800,000 people of the 1.2 million people are uncertified. Uncertified workers.
Mr. Duncan says the only way to solve these issues is through partnerships and increased investments. He says the PSOJ is committed to working with the government and other stakeholders to help solve these issues. Bashane Masters, TVJ News.
Residents in Mount Olivet and Mount Pleasant in St. Anne are up in arms this afternoon over the treatment of their communities by their elected representative. They told the TVJ News that for almost 40 years, their community has been left in the proverbial wilderness. The residents say the roads leading to their community have been in a deplorable state for a prolonged period.
We feel bad about the community because the community like we're behind the world. No only existence, no only improvement, no nothing. We just there behind the world. We only get promises about road. Nothing. Nothing at all.
Another resident, Joel Rose, said the poor state of the road would pose a huge problem in the event of an emergency.
Our road is in the poor condition that if we have a sick here to rush to the doctor, the time we meet on the main road, maybe that person died. And it can take this long, everlasting time, and you have to be careful, otherwise you can't able to meet each other. Because I've gone some descents and all these kind of things.
Hence, they're calling for their elected representative to carry out some much-needed repair.
We want action now from government or parish council or whomever is in charge, because somebody must be in charge of this road. Okay. Because this is an approved subdivision, so it couldn't be that the subdivision is approved and the road is disapproved.
On the heels of International Women's Day, one medical practitioner is zooming in on young girls. Gynecologist Dr. Carson Harley is urging parents to do their part in educating young girls about the changes their bodies undergo. Dr. Harley insists that it's important to have these conversations with them.
We tend to think of it as a taboo topic because I think it's a number of things. You know, you're trying to preserve their innocence at the same time while trying to find that balance. And then sometimes some parents, because they never had that talk, they don't know how to give that talk. So it's important for us as much stakeholders as possible in the healthcare sector, in the education sector, to talk to our children about their bodies and about sex so they can, practice a healthy lifestyle from early.
Dr. Harley says having a good parent-child relationship can help to reduce bad hygiene practices that could lead to serious health problems in the future. She explains that once a child starts to develop, a medical examination should be done.
Your young girl is having issues just before the period or the period, bring them to a doctor, start them getting their checkups from early. The problem is the internet can give, false information, a lot of false information. I do see a lot of adults coming into my office that really, they will see things on, they Google it, and the information is very erroneous, and sometimes it can cause you to do the wrong things, or practice unhealthy habits thinking that it's healthy.
News from the region now. A massive fire at the Georgetown dump in the Cayman Islands has forced the government to close several schools and evacuate persons living in residential areas this morning. The Cayman government announced that John Gray High, Georgetown Primary and Cayman International Schools will all be closed to students due to the excessive smoke in the area from the massive fire at the Georgetown dump. As the blaze raged across the landfill, the civil service also said it will operate a relaxed attendance policy for parents whose children attend schools that are closed, and the elections office is also closed. Early this morning, government officials said weather conditions were adding to the challenge for the more than 24 firefighters as well as environmental health staff that were battling to contain the blaze. Some residential areas around the dump were evacuated last night and this morning, and shelters at the Red Cross and at John Gray were opened. Sports now. Garfield Gordon and Arita Martin ran away with the Catherine Peak Melbourne Cricket Club 5K titles at the 6th staging on Sunday. Over 1,000 runners and walkers set off in pursuit of top honours, which marked the 128-year-old club. An early morning drizzle plus overcast conditions made the race tailor-made for quick times, and Gordon did not disappoint, recording the fastest time ever for the event, stopping the clock at 15 minutes 26.87 seconds. Kirk Brown was second in 16 minutes 25.24 seconds, and Kemar Leslie third in 17 minutes 0.7 seconds.
Well, it was a good run because from the year start, this is my fastest 5K because I've been training hard since February, so it's a good run. It's a good feeling to come out. I'm running this 5K for the first time, getting the first place. It's a good feeling.
Martin ran away from the other runners in what was a one-woman race from the halfway point, recording a comfortable win in another course record, 20 minutes 45.73 seconds. Amanda Blake was second in 21 minutes 49.65 seconds, with Lauren Lynn third in 22 minutes 34.89 seconds.
My first time competing at the Melbourne 5K. I'm happy to be here. I know it's towards a worthy cause, so I'm always up for that. So I'm just happy to be here and happy to come out on top.
Proceeds from the event will go towards the sickle cell unit and Special Olympics. Club President Mark Nita was grateful for the support.
People come to this event year after year to support it because of the entertainment and all that this event has to offer. And we are really hoping at the end of it that we can give Special Olympics and sickle cell a significant donation.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News package. Now, later on during Primetime News, we'll release our final results in the RJR Gleaner Don Anderson polls on party standings. So please join us for that. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, I'm Vashon Brown. Good afternoon.